So I'm going to come in again now, just repeat that process. Blade in, toes of the tracks, meet the cut, then I'll lift the blade up, and then I wait for the heels of the tracks to drop in, then I'll level the blade out. So I'll push the blade down slightly now. Feel what the blade's doing. You want a nice full blade. You want to see the material rolling over the blade, so don't go too deep, and we'll start forming the ramp. Don't worry about your sides of the cut either. If you've got excess material on the side of the cut, don't worry about that. There's nothing in the test which states the sides need to be clean and tidy. So you'll see here, bring the toes of the tracks into the stockpile. I can drop that blade, and I can get that blade all the way down without the blade frame hitting the stockpile. So if I have got any excess material inside the blade, rather than sitting on the stockpile like that with the blade up in the air trying to rattle it out, just go to the toes of the tracks to the end of the stockpile so you can drop that blade and blade frame. You can just see that as I come back now, I've come sort of like on the wonk a little bit, okay? So I'm not going to go and attack it again, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset myself. So on my next pass I'll come back a little bit further, and I'll start to cut this ramp in further back, start to get some depth. Just dug in slightly there where the tracks are dug in. So she's struggling a little bit there, okay? So if she starts to struggle, don't make the mistake of taking too much. Okay? Just take it nice and light. Less is more with this type of material. And my ramp from my stockpile wants to be the same pitch all the time. You also see as well my right hand, or rapid hand movement, because I'm trying to find that level. My hand's not just stuck still in one place. I'm constantly feeling what the blade's doing. I'm constantly feeling what the tracks are doing. So I make slight little adjustments with the blade. Don't let the material escape from underneath the blade. If the blade's up in the air, you're going to start losing your material, and you don't want to be doing that. So I'm just going to start where I originally started here, and just take a skimming out, a little bit of depth, because I want to make sure that every pass I do, I want to make sure that it's level. I don't want waves in it. I don't want it to be lopsided. It needs to be laterally level. It needs to be a level cut as well, so I don't want to be rising. Just good push. You've got the entry ramp now, okay, even though it's a little bit messy, it's the actual cut itself. So from peg to peg, right, it's starting to rise up a little bit towards the second peg. So rather than starting from the back here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come halfway, more or less. I'm going to reference my blade against the cut now, and I'm going to cut it through at that level, because it's starting to come up a little bit towards the second peg. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to do a full push with it. So I'm just going to take a slither out from here. Beyond the second peg if you can. If you can't get it on your first go, we'll come back and do it again. I'll just carry that material up the ramp. Just take the toes of the tracks to the end of the stockpile. Now I've got enough clearance now to drop the blade all the way down to get rid of the material. I don't have to rattle it. So because I'm just short on that ramp, what I'm going to do now is come back to the bottom of the ramp and just cut the wedge out at the bottom of the ramp. In terms of knowing how deep you are, it depends what reference point you want to choose. So on the back of the blade, if you look at the back of the blade against the verges which I've created, on the back of the blade I've got fabrication weld marks. So I use them as reference points in terms of how deep I am. So if I look at on the first line down from the top of the blade, it's more or less in line with the actual original formation. If you wanted to give yourself a reference throughout your cut, so you could take a reference there, you could come back a bit, you could take a reference there, and then come back a little bit further. And take a reference there. So put that cut in there now, and now I'm in line with that first line at the back of the blade. So we're going to use that as a reference point now against the verge, both sides.